all of this bullish news, Bitcoin should be at 0.2 M or 200K. And the CIO of Bitwise also said the same thing. Like, we're way undervalued from where we should be right now. And of course, that's just my gut feeling, and that's probably his gut feeling too. But it doesn't feel right. And usually what happens, I think, when things are kind of disconnected, is that there's a fast reconciliation. Like, it's got to reconcile. 10K candles, maybe 100K candle, and that'll put us in the right.
The U.S. Senate is preparing to vote on the highly anticipated Genius stablecoin bill before May 23rd, following President Trump's recent push for Congress to establish a clear regulatory framework for stablecoin. Today, Samson Mow shares his outlook on what this means for Bitcoin and how Trump may be paving the way for a massive price surge this June. In this interview, Mow dives deep into the global unraveling of fiat currency systems and warns of coordinated efforts to control crypto, with BlackRock among the major players moving in. But according to Mow, that's only part of the story. Entire nation-states are now turning to Bitcoin as a hedge against monetary collapse. With Bitcoin currently trading just above $104,200 and a new trade deal finalized, momentum is building for another explosive rally. Mow argues that nation-state adoption of Bitcoin is now critical, not just for financial gain, but for survival, as the traditional monetary order shows signs of breaking down. Let's jump into this latest conversation with Samson Mow as he reveals his Bitcoin forecast for the months ahead, and why a flood of institutional and sovereign capital could soon pour into the space.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
I think it's just real adoption of Bitcoin. All the things happening in the US are going to accelerate it. We'll probably see 50K in a day, and then we'll get to 100 later. But we will get there eventually.
I think we did the 10K candle in a day, though. That's already checked off.
There's been 9 10Ks. If you count the red ones, there's 9 or 10 of them. You see a 10K down and then a 10K green. I think a 10X is within the realm of possibility, highly possible.
Okay.
Just because there's so much demand and there's limited supply.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world doesn't yet realize that there's limited supply, right?
Yeah.
The world is accustomed to fiat money printing, and we can print our way out of the problem that we created, or we can always have an escape hatch, or there's a way to do something. We can adjust the rates or whatever, but there's nothing you can do with Bitcoin. There's only 21 million, and I don't think the world has woken up to that fact yet, or else they'd be scrambling to buy it already.
Of course.
But given that there is demand from the US, 1 million is the Bitcoin Act from Cynthia Lummis, right, to acquire 1 million. And then there's a proposal put forth to acquire about 2 million Bitcoin in the form of a Bitcoin bond or Bit bonds. So that's 3 million of demand. So where's that going to come from? And Sailor has 500,000 now. The ETFs are still accumulating. And now GameStop is coming into the mix with $4.6 billion of cash. And there's other players with a ton of cash, like Berkshire, Apple. So what's going to happen?
Number go up.
Probably.
Number go up.
It's
So
just a matter of when.
we're seeing all these Bitcoin purchases, but there's really no way to verify that. That could be paper Bitcoin. And I mean, that could be an explanation as to why we're not seeing that upside volatility.
I don't think it's paper Bitcoin. I mean, the hardcore crypto anarchist Bitcoiners are probably thinking, yeah, it's paper. But it's highly unlikely that it is paper. I don't think Brian Armstrong would want to go to jail. And I have more faith in Sailor that he has the Bitcoin. I think the price is just, it's depressed. When we're flat and people are kind of worried, the hedge funds and prop trading firms, they can push the price down, right? They just have to, execute a sell order at the same time, right? From time to time you see a blip on the chart and we know some guy fat fingered an order and that's why it went down. So the price is just a feed, and it can be manipulated by a couple firms all fat fingering at the same time, and that causes a panic, and that's what got us down to the 70s, right? And it takes time to recover because it's market sentiment. But the price feed is completely separate from the supply of Bitcoin, which is dwindling. which we don't really have an idea of exactly how much is available to sell. We have people saying, oh, there's always someone that will sell, and there's always some whale that's going to sell it and buy like a mansion and a jet or something, right? But from all the OGs I talk to, none of them are really changing up their lifestyle. So I don't know who is selling. So again, it has to reconcile that the supply is being sucked up by all these big players, and that has to stop sooner or later. So it's not the IMF said, you've got to stop doing something. The document that was released is a 119-page agreement that the government of El Salvador and the IMF reached together. It's not they're being forced. Like, the force would have been during the negotiations, but this is a formal agreement. This is why I theorized that they would stop buying. But then the president said, this doesn't stop. This probably alluding to buying or adding. But then the IMF also released a statement saying El Salvador is compliant with the agreement. So I'm not really sure exactly what's happening, but there are a bunch of theories floating around that there is a loophole. Either the time is not reached, which they have to stop buying, because there was a series of deadlines for different things to be shut off. Like Chivo shuts off at this point, they have to unwind at this point, and they have to do all these different things at different points in this year. So it could be possible that they haven't reached the point at which they need to stop accumulating, or there's a theory put forth that it is internal transfers, which could be possible because not all of their holdings are disclosed. When they first created their SPR, or they just called it a treasury at that point, they said, like, we're moving a portion of our Bitcoin to this reserve. So that implies that they have other Bitcoin that is non-public. And I think Joe Nakamoto is running with that theory. The other one is that they're donations, which I don't think it'd be possible to sustain at that level of one a day, unless there's a really big whale that wants to give one a day.
Just one.
So something doesn't make sense here. Something doesn't add up.
Mow emphasizes that this is only the beginning of Bitcoin's journey. He compares the early, uncertain years to today's surge in mainstream interest and institutional investment. One of the biggest game changers, he notes, is BlackRock's entry into the space, a move that's set to reshape the crypto landscape entirely. As more institutional capital floods in, Mow predicts a significant surge in Bitcoin's price, much like the parabolic runs we've seen in the past. He points to this moment as a major shift in the global financial system. The growing adoption of Bitcoin, not just by everyday investors, but by governments, corporations, and major media outlets, signals a new era of recognition. According to Mow, crypto is on track to become the best-performing asset class in the world.
We're in the final phase of this bull run. Let me guide you. We've launched DailyDoseCrypto Alpha, a free private Telegram group just for the DailyDoseCrypto family. Inside, I'll guide you through profit-taking strategies, real trading tactics, long-term crypto investing mindset. Only 500 spaces available, then it's closed. If you're serious about this bull run, click the private link to join now.
There is an agreement. It is not, gray. It's very black and white, very clear. 119 pages of it.
Yeah.
And they're compliant with it, according to the IMF, which, the IMF doesn't, they don't joke around. They want to exert control and they want to dictate policy. And it sounds like they got what they wanted. I don't think they would say, yeah, we agreed this, but the agreement really doesn't matter. Yeah. I don't see them playing that game.
Your mission right now is nation state adoption. Now that the IMF has essentially revealed their cards, and, was it 94 countries? So the majority of the world's countries essentially have these dealings with the IMF. What are you going to do? What's your strategy?
Well, it's not every country. So there are other countries that are not under the thumb of the IMF. But yeah, they are very pervasive in their reach. And I don't know, like some countries that we engage with that we know are beholden to the IMF, we still tell them you should do it anyways, even as a bargaining chip, so you can undo it later and, get something out of them, right?
Yeah.
But it seems to be that is the play here. Like, they don't like it. You can do something with Bitcoin or talk favorably about Bitcoin, maybe add some Bitcoin policy, and it'll take them a couple of years to unwind that. And in the meantime, you have a bargaining chip, because if you are in debt to the IMF and they say, dye your hair red and, wear your shirt backwards, what's your bargaining chip? You have nothing.
Why do they care so much from them benefiting from Bitcoin? Like, legal tender? No. You can't acquire, but like, why are they so they're scared. They're like, they must be terrified.
Well, I think there's two things here. One is the obvious answer, which is Bitcoin makes the IMF obsolete because their funds don't exist, actually. They don't even have the fiat. What they have is a special drawing rights, SDR. Not SBR, SDR, special drawing rights to create money, basically. And it's all imaginary money on top of imaginary money. So with Bitcoin and a sound money standard, you can't really do that anymore. You can't have a special Bitcoin drawing right and lend that out, right? It doesn't work. So that would be one reason why they're incentivized to fight against Bitcoin, because it makes them gone. It's like if USAID could fight Elon, wouldn't they? Yeah, of course they would, right? The other answer is, I think El Salvador is not in a good fiscal position. So Bitcoin News posted a long thread about the financial situation of the country, and it looks like their debt to GDP ratio has increased a lot, and their debt has increased by 55% or 54% in the last 4 years alone. So fiscally, they're not in a good position, and they need the IMF money to, not default, which it seems like they don't want to default, not with the trajectory of growth that they have right now.
Of course.
So they're in a difficult position where they have to take the loan or default. And I think the IMF wouldn't lend them the money if they were still buying Bitcoin, right? So they're kind of looking at it from a pragmatic standpoint, which is you're getting further into debt and you're still taking money to buy Bitcoin.
In a way, it's kind of malicious, I would say, from their end.
True. And the problem is they didn't have enough Bitcoin. See, if they had enough Bitcoin,
They could just say,
that would be enough to finance the debt. Or if they had like mining, right? If they had volcano mining and had ramped that up, then they would have a better position to bargain from. But they didn't have that. So they do need to service the debt or default. So they kind of need to take the deal. And the IMF cannot rationally give them money if they're still taking the money to buy Bitcoin. This is why I think there's some loophole there, because the IMF would not agree that, yeah, we're going to buy 1 Bitcoin a day when your debt is doubled in the last 4 years.
Samson Mow warns of an impending economic collapse driven by failing fiat systems, rampant inflation, and widespread bank instability. He argues that central banks have broken their promises, turning to endless money printing and encouraging poor investment. In response, Mow believes the world must shift toward a Bitcoin standard, as governments, institutions, and even the media begin to recognize Bitcoin's true value. He sees the rise of Bitcoin ETFs as a turning point, allowing corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Google to rapidly accumulate Bitcoin through traditional financial channels. By leveraging their existing infrastructure, these giants can bypass the complexities of direct ownership, accelerating institutional adoption. This growing interest marks a transformative shift in the financial system, positioning Bitcoin as a serious alternative to conventional asset. Michael Saylor echoes this view, urging investors to embrace digital assets as the economic landscape continues to evolve. With traditional metrics becoming increasingly unreliable and manipulated, Bitcoin offers a decentralized and transparent alternative. As momentum builds, both Mow and Saylor believe we're witnessing the start of a new financial era, one that rewards those who adapt early. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.